A very bright good afternoon to everyone. I'm Anushka from VFarm, and on behalf of IMT College of Pharmacy, I would like to extend a hearty welcome to all of you in today's IIC session on discussion with innovation and startup ecosystem enablers on region level. It gives me immense pleasure to be able to introduce today's guest speaker, Dr. Ruchi Rayat. Dr. Rayat is Dean and Professor of Human Resource Management at GNIOT Institute of Management Studies. She has nearly 16 years of experience as academician and administrator and has mentored young students in creating their own startups. As a respected teacher and facilitator, she has taught several courses in human resource management at undergraduate and graduate level. She has conducted several FTPs and MDPs for leading universities, for academicians and executives. She has also delivered lectures in government schools to educate students in women empowerment and career opportunities. I would like to request our Dean, Dr. Pushpendra Jain sir, to please welcome her.
Thank you, Anushka. Good afternoon to all the participants, and no doubt I would like to heartiest welcome to our guest person, Dr. Ruchi. Definitely, ma'am. Today's topic is very interesting to all endeavors who becomes an entrepreneur. Actually, this is the essential requirement for all entrepreneurs to know about their competitors so that they can plan their business activity, their product launching accordingly. Ruchi ma'am, I am expecting.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Dr. Pushpendra.
All the audience will be benefited from your session. Again, I would like to welcome our resource person, Dr. Ruchi, on behalf of IMT College of Pharmacy, Greater Noida. Thank you, ma'am, for your consent in very short span of time. Thank you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Pushpendra. Thank you, Anushka, for the wonderful welcome. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be, coming for this session, and I'm really grateful to the management of IMT Group of Institutions, and of course, Professor Ankita, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And I hope that today's session would be benefit for all the upcoming entrepreneurs. Just allow me to share my screen. Just a second. Okay, so just a second. Is my screen visible? Can anybody tell me?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
1 hour. Okay, so thank you once again. Yeah. So today's session is all about cultural competence in the business and what an entrepreneur wants to know. Well, of course, the series of sessions that has been conducted by IMT Group of Institutions is based on entrepreneurship. So being a faculty of OB and HR, I think what is very important for any entrepreneur or any individual in the company to understand cultural competence and to have culture proficiency. So basically in this session, I'll be talking about the cultural competency that any individual or any entrepreneur needs to know. And first of all, we all must understand what is entrepreneurship and who is an entrepreneur. I'm sure that all the students are very well versed with it, but still just to give a brief introduction about it. Basically, an entrepreneur is a person who seeks a profitable opportunity and takes the necessary risks to set up and operate a business. see, an entrepreneur is a person who has a new idea, he innovates, and somebody who is in the position and who has the willingness to take risk. That person is known as entrepreneur. They Entrepreneur may have, from may vary from small business owners to the big business owners, or maybe somebody who is taking up his business to grow. And he is the one, the basic, the idea, what an entrepreneur holds is innovation. He should innovate something new, and he should have the ability to take risk. And of course, with the risk, the complete responsibility also rests with the entrepreneur. So that these are few very important elements to be an entrepreneur, and this is what entrepreneurship is all about. Now the question arises, in today's scenario, why is it that so many people are turning to be entrepreneurs, or what is that which influences people to become entrepreneurs? Of course, these are few of the elements which are motivating our generation Z to become entrepreneurs. And many of the people, they are leaving their jobs, and and this is up having once having 18-20 years of industry experience, they're planning to become an entrepreneur. It's very what should I say, fascinating, or something attractive stream which the people are opting for. So the reason why more and more people are opting to be entrepreneurs is to desire to be one's own business. And of course, when the people don't want to work under somebody, and you feel that you have the potential, and similarly you have the strategy which could align you with the goals, so these kind of people, they tend to become entrepreneurs. And of course, the desire for the job security, of course, in today's private world, nobody knows, when we are job security is something which is a very important need for any employee, any professional. And of course, being an entrepreneur, you are the owner of your own business, so that is what something which is attracting the people the most. And of course, desire to succeed financially, the kind of revenue generation, the kind of growth financially and individually which you can achieve in entrepreneurship, that would probably never happen, or happens with very few people if we talk about corporate world. So that is the reason that people are more attracted to become to take up for entrepreneurship. And of course, with all of this comes the improved quality life. Everybody is aspiring for better quality life. So, and that is also something which is motivating people to become entrepreneurs. Now, very importantly, what are the factors, or why so many startups are coming in India, and what are the factors which are supporting, which are providing the entrepreneurs with the opportunity to take up new startups, to have their own businesses, or the providing with them with the competency to take risk? Of course, globalization. With the era of globalization, there are n number of opportunities which are opening for the people. So yes, this is one of the major reasons for which the people are turning to be entrepreneurs. And of course, the education, the quality. See, the number of startups that we have in India are very high in comparison to other places, other countries. We are having, even the government is taking initiatives for the startups. The government is taking initiatives and encouraging the people to be the business owners, to become entrepreneurs. So one of the very important factor is the education. People are the kind of quality of education that we are providing in India, that is unbeatable. And of course, the kind of domains we are covering. Earlier there was a time, if you remember, there was a time when after your graduation, or after, if we talk about the career options, there are very few career options, and similarly were the very few domains of education. But these days there are n number of educational opportunities for the students, certification opportunities for the students to learn. And that's one of the major reasons which are driving the people to become entrepreneurs. And of course, the demographic and economic trends and information technology, of course, the kind of what should I say, the kind of change which has come in the technology, the kind of revolution which the technology is facing. So that is also promoting people to become entrepreneurs. Even, sitting at your home, you can earn a lot of money, and, you can be financially independent. And these are few factors which are supporting the role of entrepreneurship in the entrepreneur in the society. So yes, as I said, the globalization has created many opportunities for the entrepreneurs in all over the world, in different countries, as you can see in this particular graph. Then if I talk about what are the qualities which are required for an entrepreneur, or what are the entrepreneurial characteristics which supports this profession, then of course vision. The person should have a vision to to convert his business idea into a success. So that vision has to be there. Then of course the high energy level. As a personality, you need to be very strong personality, and similarly the self image should be very clear. And need to achieve, of course there has to be a desire, there has to be a need to excel in the work which you are doing. So that is there. Self confidence, of course the person who is confident about his ideas, confident that he can do it. Only those people should enter entrepreneurship, and that is one of the major qualities that you see. If the dream that you are dreaming, if you don't have believe in your dream, you don't have believe in yourself, then how you expect others to believe you? So it is very important, self confidence and self belief. Similarly, tolerance for failure. Now when we say tolerance for failures, of course when you do anything new, there will be the people in the society, in your home, in your profession, who would always discourage you, to take risk, who will always discourage you to do something new. So and they will always discuss the consequences of the failure options. So the person who intends to be an entrepreneur, it is very important that that person has this strong determination and is ready to take risk and ready to take failures. If failure, success as well as failure, both are the consequences of trial. So yes, of course, as an entrepreneur, you need to understand that it might lead to success, it might lead to failure. Of course, we all are driving for success, but at the same time, the entrepreneur should be ready for the consequences of failure. Similarly, creativity, as initially only I told that an entrepreneur is a person who innovates something, who comes up with a new idea, and that is which is most important to be an entrepreneur. So of course, being creative, having some creative ideas, that is a very important characteristic of entrepreneurship. And of course, tolerance for ambiguity. That simply means to say there will be situations. See, when you are in a job, there are people you can refer to. The risk involved is very less in comparison to when you are an entrepreneur. When you are an entrepreneur, the complete risk sets with you. So that ability to deal with the risk, and at the same time there will be situations which will be very vague, where you would be in doubt that I should go for which option, or there will be a lot of uncertainties that will be prevailing in the air. So at that time, entrepreneur is a person, or that quality should be there in an entrepreneur, that he can decide what is suitable for his business and what is not unsuitable for his business. So that understanding, that, and he should be able to handle the uncertainties, and he should be able to understand the uncertainties. And yes, of course, lastly but definitely not the least, is the cultural competence. What this session is all about. Cultural competence is again one of the very, very crucial characteristics which are required in an entrepreneur. It is very important that the person should be able to work with the people who are who have different personalities, who have different behaviors, and of course who are culturally different from that of us. So this was just an introduction to the session, that what is cultural competence, and now we will, from here onwards, will discuss about what an entrepreneur needs to know about cultural competence. So let's start with some of the definitions. Let's first understand what is culture. Culture is who we are. That means the culture, when we say the culture of a person, it does not only mean refer to our religion or of our the background that we are from. No, but it has lot many other things which people generally tend to ignore when we talk about culture. Culture is about your beliefs, it is about your way of life, your thinking, your speech, the how you behave, your group dynamics, your geographical location. All these things are part of your culture that builds up the personality. All those elements which are actually contributing towards you as an individual. Okay, so of course, if we look at the statement that the one of the major challenges in the 21st century is welcoming the diversity, foster inclusion, and improving personal intercultural competence. Now, see, in today's scenario, when there is a globalization, in today's scenario, when the world is becoming a smaller place, the geographical barriers does not exist. When these days, when we talk about businesses, right, all the MNCs are coming to India, and similarly India is exporting to other countries. So in that situation, and even the people are moving from country to country to work for jobs, right? So in that situation, it is very important that we have cultural proficiency, or at least we have cultural competence. That means we are able to work with the people of different cultures. Now, when we say different cultures, we are not just talking about the geographical factors, or the religion, or the culture of the person, but we are talking about different personalities. As an entrepreneur, you will be having different set of people in your team. So being an entrepreneur, it is very, very important for you to understand that different people will behave differently. And as an entrepreneur, it is your responsibility to ensure that the diversity in your organization is maintained. And of course, you are able to handle the diversity. You are able to handle the people with diverse cultures, with diverse origins.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, actually, I think there is a glitch. Your slides are not changing.
Oh, slides are not changing. Okay,
Yes,
let me
ma'am.
try. Okay, let me try again, because I have changed the slide. Just allow me a second, Anushka.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, let me know, Anushka. Now they are changing. Just a sec. Now is it
Yes,
changing?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now is it visible? Okay, of course it is visible, right?
Yes.
Let's check once again. Let me put it to the full slide. Now tell me, is it changing? I've changed.
Ma'am,
I'm changed. It's not changing, right?
no, ma'am.
I think when I go in the full screen mode, then it doesn't change. Now I think it will be changing, right?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's changing.
Okay. Okay. So, do you mind if I keep it like this only, not in the full screen?
No, ma'am, there's no issue. You can keep it however you like.
Okay. Okay. Fine. 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 I hope the audience are listening to it, because I can't see many of the audiences, and maybe the students are watching live. I don't know, but
Yes, ma'am. This
okay.
meeting
All
is live streamed on YouTube, so
right. Okay, no issues. So if at any point of time, Anushka, you feel that there are questions, or anybody is having any doubt, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, in the end, I'm open to questions, right?
yes, ma'am. We'll be collecting all the doubts from students, and I'll be addressing all the doubts on their behalf at the end of the session.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, Anushka. Okay, so I was talking about that, in today's scenario, when there is a globalization, and the 21st century is welcoming the diversity, inclusion. It is very important for any entrepreneur to ensure that there is cultural competence in the organization, that the people understand that how important and relevant it is to work with the people with diverse culture, diverse domains, and diverse personalities. So today, me being a management professor, and giving the lecture in for the pharma students. So that itself reflects that, you know, we are in diversity and we are working interdisciplinary, which is very important, because the kind of coverage that a management faculty or the perspective the management faculty would have on cultural competence, of course, technical people would not have that kind of orientation. They will have a different orientation, of course. They have their own expertise area. So what I'm trying to say is that in today's scenario, it is very important that we work in with the inclusion, and we work with workforce diversity. Okay, so yeah, of course, as I was referring to, where the culture does not necessarily means only the racial or the ethnic groups we are born into the society, but we are born into, but it also is a combination of thoughts, feelings, attitudes. Let us look at this diagram. You know, in management, we have a very important model which is known as the iceberg model. Now, let me give you just about what is the iceberg model all about. Just like an iceberg, you know, iceberg is always above the surface of the water. So just, but you know, जितना जो आइसबर्ग होता है वो पानी के सरफेस से ऊपर होता है, उससे कहीं ज्यादा वो नीचे होता है. It is beneath the water. So this is what is the model all about. This is the iceberg model, and this model is also depicting the same thing. In general, when we talk about culture, we feel that the culture is, you know, the food that we eat, the music that we listen to, or the language that we speak, or the literature, you know, the customs and everything. But actually, this is just something which is just visible. Okay. So just allow me a second. There is just give me a second, please. I'm so sorry, you know, there was some emergency. Okay. So I was telling you all that, you know, when we are talking about the iceberg. So similarly, when we talk about the iceberg model of culture, what we see or what we think is not, you know, everything about the culture. But if we talk about the attitude of the person, you know, the etiquettes, his beliefs, his value system, his leadership quality, the way we raise up our children, the way we teach our students, the norms, the notions of beauty, all these things, your body language, your personality, all these things together contribute to the culture. But generally, a general person, you know, if I talk about general अगर मैं एक आम आदमी से बात करूं कल्चरल कॉम्पिटेंसी की, तो वो सिर्फ यही समझेगा कि भाई एक सोसाइटी में हम अलग अलग कल्चर के लोग हैं तो सबको साथ में रहना चाहिए, यही होता है कल्चरल कॉम्पिटेंस. But this is not true. This is only 10% of the cultural competency. Actually, when we are talking about the cultural competency, it is accepting and embracing the difference in the personalities. When you are an entrepreneur or as a professional, it is important that when we are working together, we should embrace that each individual is different. The way of thinking of each individual is different. His value system, his body language, you know, his rules, his social status, his perception, his how he raise up his children, and you know, biased and all these things. What are his concerns about time? All these things are equally a part of culture when we say the culture of the person, right? So similarly, when we talk about cultural competency, it simply means to say that it is an approach to address the issues of diversity, inclusiveness, and culture of entitlement. It simply means to say that as an entrepreneur, you know, when you have a team of people, or when you're working with the different kind of customers in B2B business, you might have different kind of clients. So it is very important that you understand the fact that every individual is different. Every individual has a different cultural diversity, and when we are working together, we have to understand that we cannot be judgmental all the times. Sorry, we and and similarly we have to work in the group, so we have to work as a team. So there has to be group dynamics, and everybody has to abide by the rules and regulations of the company and has to work in accordance to the need of the organization. So this will basically help both the parties to work together. But if the cultural competence is missing, then what will happen? The people would just keep engaging themselves into what is right and what is wrong. This is the way we do. It is not acceptable in this company, and how can you talk like this, or how can you eat like this, or how can you say like this? We have to understand that. Or how can you behave like this? Like, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. And some people are very emotional and some people are very strong. They are strong personalities, they are very practical types. So if one person in the system is very emotional, that does not mean that we disrespect that person or that we make fun of that person. We have to understand that he is a different individual, so his way of behaving would be different. We need to tackle with him likewise. Like as teachers, we always do that. Every student is a different, and every student needs a different kind of treatment. We cannot apply one rule of thumb with all. It is important that every individual is treated differently. So same is governed in the entrepreneurship also. So behavior of the person is always aligned with the standards that move an organization or individual towards culturally proficient interactions. So whenever we are meeting somebody, whenever we are working in the organization, we have to understand these differences of personality, differences of the work culture, and then only we can survive. If you are of the notion that my way highway, or I'll do the way I have been doing the work, then I'm sorry, you are not fit for the system. You will not be able to survive in the organization, or you will not be, as an entrepreneur, you will not be able to work with people. So that is why cultural competence is highly required. Now let's understand what actually we mean by cultural competency, or what we call it as cultural sensitivity. It simply means to that we need to be sensitive, or we need to be aware of the diversity in the workforce. We cannot judge every individual equally, or we cannot treat every individual in the similar way. We have to be aware, and we have to understand the differences in personality, the differences in the treatment. So basically it is the knowledge and the interpersonal skills that allow the providers to understand, appreciate, and work with individuals from cultures other than our own. Means, as an entrepreneur or as a professional, I would say that when we talk about cultural competency, that is the skills. If I am able to work with people of different origins, different personalities, and different cultures, that means I have cultural competency. That means I'm sensitive towards different cultures. But if I'm not able to deal with that, that means that somewhere down the line, the cultural competency is missing. So how, there are few continuum, there are there are different parameters on which we can understand the cultural competency, or the the ways we can react towards cultural diversity. Okay, first is cultural destructiveness. See, if you are, if you force things over others, or if you are very dominant in the group, like for example, as an entrepreneur, you have your own company and you have people working with you, but it is important, you have to understand that you need to give space to all the individuals. You need to give them autonomy to operate, right? But on the contrary, if you don't do that, you force them to do the work, or you just subjugate your own rights and everything to the individuals, and you are very dominant towards them. That means that you are culturally destructiveness. That is cultural destructiveness. That means you are simply destroying the culture of your organization, and believe you me, the output or the revenues will be very poor. You will not be able to have good output from the people. So this is cultural destructiveness, when we do not understand the diversity, rather than that, when we force things on people. Similarly, in cultural incapacity, in cultural incapacity is what, like, we are not doing it intentionally, but it's just that it is our personality that we always tend to judge. Like, for example, if I'm from a Delhi and a person is coming to give interview in my company and he is also from Delhi, so if I am, giving more weightage to that person because he's from my native place, then what will eventually happen? This is culturally insensitive. That means you're not culturally sensitive, and you are giving opportunity to the person because that person, comes from the same origin. Or sometimes stereotypes, हम stereotypes कर लेते हैं कि भाई, the people that everybody from X place are intelligent people, or anybody and everybody who is of this age tend to behave like this. This is stereotyping. So this is cultural incapacity, that is you are incapable to perform. You are culturally incapable, you are not at all understanding the cultural differences, rather than you are having a racism. जब हम कास्ट को लेके, रिलीजन्स को लेके या पर्सनालिटीज को लेके जब हम बहुत ज्यादा बाइफरकेट करते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा डिफरेंशिएशन करते हैं, एंड we use unfair practices to hire people, we are not fair enough to give promotions to the people, so that reflects the cultural incapacity of the entrepreneur. Similarly, cultural blindness, it simply means to say differences ignored. When you are not understanding the difference, as I gave you the example that some people could be more sensitive or some people could be more emotional. So while treating those people, when you're treating those people and you are not treating them correctly, you are not understanding that there has to be a difference in the treatment of the person, then you are culturally blind. That means you are ignorant, you are ignoring the fact that every person needs a different kind of treatment. Similarly, cultural pre-competence. Cultural pre-competence simply means to say that explore cultural issues, are committed, assess needs of the organizations and individuals. That means when you are starting your business, when you are being an entrepreneur, then you understand that what are the issues which I need to understand before setting up my business, what I need to understand, or what what I need to understand. So this is kind of you are in the pre-competence phase. Yani abhi aap culturally competent nahi hai, lekin you are working on that. You are working on being culturally competent. You are trying, you're researching, you're exploring that how you can be culturally competent. And then comes cultural competence. Cultural competence is simply when you recognize the differences, when you understand diversity, and when you accept this diversity, when you understand that yes, people are differently, they will behave differently, and you stop treating them in a biased way or in a stereotype way. You understand, like sometimes we tend to body shame people, sometimes we tend to defame other people's culture or religion, and even personalities. So this is something very incorrect. This is being culturally incompetent. On the contrary, if you don't, if you are working on not to be culturally incompetent, and you are embracing the differences in the personality, differences in the culture, differences in the religions, then of course you are becoming competent, you are culturally competent. And of course then there is a cultural proficiency. When cultural proficiency is implementing the changes to improve service based upon cultural needs. Now you are going just one step ahead. You are not just understanding the cultural differences, but you are taking initiatives also to meet the needs of the people of different cultures. For example, well, I'll put a very simple example for all of you. Like, when McDonald's came to India, of course, when they came to India, they had they were selling the beef products, the burgers in India. But very soon did they realize that it's not going to work. In India, the people, they would not consume these kind of products, beefs and all. So what they did was they changed their strategy, they changed their product line. So it is cultural proficiency. That means you changed your product line, you understood the customer, that customer is different, and so similarly you worked on it, and you of course you aligned it with the needs of the customer. So this is cultural proficiency. For us, for an entrepreneur, if cultural proficiency is not there, then at least they should be culturally competent. So these are, a few statements which would help an individual to understand that how culturally competent we are. Like, if you're working in the organization, you have known your co-worker all your life and very close friends, so it is okay to use racial slurs in a joking manner. See, it's very simple. Sometimes we take people for granted. We know, if the professionals know each other for many years, and you are making religious jokes or slurs on each other, and if you feel that it is perfectly okay to do that, then of course it's not a cultural competency. It should be strongly disagreed. The answer should be strongly disagreed. Similarly, regardless of one's religion, it is okay for people openly discuss religion. Now it depends on the situation. I think some at times it can be okay to discuss religion, depending the kind of gathering we have, the people we have. But yes, in general, we should avoid discussing. We see, when we are with the people, then at that point of time we should avoid, or not only avoid, but we should not discuss religion. If people from diverse religions are there, then we should not discuss about the religion of the people. And female on male sexual harassment is not as bad as male on females. Now, of course, this is also completely disagreed, because your sexual harassment, be it male or be it female, it is both are completely disgraceful, and something which should be curbed from the society, and so on. So when we understand these differences, that makes us cultural competent. So let's see. So these are the few elements which are very important for any entrepreneur. Of course, we all are living in when we're talking about the multicultural environment, that means the environment where the people are there who are from different various domains and different cultures. So of course, there is a diversity. There should be inclusion. That means we should feel ourselves to be part of the society. And of course, belongingness means that the person should feel comfortable in your company. And intercultural competence is simply that we like what we do in our institution gyms. People all from all over India, from different states, the people are coming to India, to our institute, sorry, and we celebrate all the festivals, all the events together, despite of our different cultural orientations. So let's see further. Diversity, knowing how to relate to those qualities and conditions that are different from our own. See, this is very, I would say, a big problem for when we talk about human behavior. We have this tendency कि अच्छा हमारे घर में तो ऐसा होता है, या मेरी कंपनी में तो ऐसा होता है, तो हम तो ऐसा नहीं करेंगे, या हम तो ऐसा नहीं कर पाएंगे. Now that means you are culturally incompetent. Something which you have been doing or which happens in your company, that does not mean that that's the world. When you're working with different people, when you're working in a new era, in a different society, then of course you have to accept it all, and you have to work accordingly. So yes, we have to be open to diversity. Inclusion and belongingness, of course, to feel inclusion is to feel comfortable interacting with people from other cultures. If you are being an entrepreneur, you will be required to meet a lot of people in your life, a lot of customers, a lot of employees. And if you are not comfortable to deal with them because they are different individuals, different personalities, or have different cultures, that means that you are lacking inclusion. So yes, this is one of the quality which is very important in any entrepreneur, that he has to have inclusion. He should be comfortable in interacting with person from any cultural domain. It should not be that okay, I cannot speak to him, and or I cannot work with these kind of people, or the people from these cultures. Similarly, belongingness. to make people from other cultures feel comfortable when you are working with them. See, there is a one big quality of a leadership. It is not important that how you feel, but it is very important how the people feel about themselves in your company. That what makes a good leader, that what makes a good manager, or that what makes an entrepreneur. The people should feel good about themselves in your company. They should not feel awkward. If somebody is feeling awkward in your company, due to some cultural differences or due to some personality differences, that means there is a lack of belongingness. So that belongingness is very important, that people should feel part of the culture. The people should feel associated with you, and the people should have that belongingness feeling when they are working with you. So belongingness is more than tolerance, acceptance, or inclusion. Belongingness means we feel connected, we feel part of the group, we feel valued in the program or in the society. So similarly, when we are talking about equality, equity, and belongingness, the people should feel themselves equal, and there should be equities, equal opportunities for everybody, and of course there has to be a belongingness. So when we talk about lower 4H value, it is also belongingness. For any entrepreneur, there is a model of 4H value. 4H value is what? Belongingness, independence, generosity, and mastery. So these are a few elements which are very important for an entrepreneur, that the person should feel a sense of belongingness when he is working in your company or under your leadership. Similarly, independence, autonomy. He should have the autonomy to work. Otherwise, autonomy, if autonomy is not there, if independence is not there, then what will happen? It limits your creativity. The person is not able to deliver, or he's not able to operate in an efficient manner. So it is important to give him autonomy. Similarly, generosity, you need to be generous with the people, you need to be humble with the people, then only the people would enjoy your company. And of course, mastery, that you should be the expert of your area. So very importantly, for any entrepreneur or any professional, be aware that we are different. Please understand that every individual is different. No two individuals can ever be different, and you have to understand, and you have to embrace that also, and then only you can find a way to work together. So going back to the original question, working with people from other culture is a challenge and as well as an opportunity. When you work with the people with different diversity, different cultures, of course it is a challenge, but at the same time it gives you a different perspective to every problem, to every situation, to the work, and it brings in a lot of creativity and innovation to the work. That is why cultural diversity is very important for the organization. But understanding all the nuances of cultural competency, why does it become so hard? Why the people are still not able to work together, why the group dynamics are missing, or why the people, they are not culturally competent? The reason is because cultural competency does not come naturally. This has to come naturally to you. What we are doing is we are just struggling to be culturally competent, or we are struggling to work with the people. We don't that is not something which is imbibed in our behavior or imbibed in our personality. The moment it is imbibed in our personality, then it will be easier for us to be culturally competent. So what we need to do is we have to find out the approach to understand different cultures, and we have to understand the how do we not offend the people of different cultures. But the question is how do we do it? सबको पता है culturally competent होना चाहिए, सबको पता है कि सबको equal opportunities मिलनी चाहिए, हमें सबको equally treat करना चाहिए. But at the end of the day, होता क्या है कि when you're working, when you're in a profession, we end up doing a lot of mistakes. We end up body shaming people, we end up hurting the emotions of the people, we end up treating the people with the different notions, or we do stereotyping and all those things. But it is important. But then how do we go about doing it? This can be done when we work with people from different cultures, right? So how do we go about doing it? Let's see. first of all, there are different stages to it. First you have to set a goal for yourself. That means you have to understand, or you have to accept that yes, I have to work to be culturally competent. I have to work to ensure that I have cultural proficiency in my personality. So that could be done. First of all, there is a denial phase. Now denial phase is what? That when we deny cultural differences, generally kya hota hai, we do not accept, like for example, if I talk about myself, I have been working for 20 years and more, and I have seen that the people are not culturally strong, not culturally proficient, sorry. So regardless of the people do, or what the people are have originated from, which cultures or which kind of personalities they are, it is very important that you move out the denial phase. You understand, एक denial phase होता है जब हम ये सोचते हैं कि नहीं नहीं सब एक जैसे हैं, हम सब सेम उम्र के तो लोग हैं, तो हम सब या we all are from the same fraternity, or we all are from the same industry, and we can work together. You have to come out of this phase, and rather you have to accept that no, we are not same. It is important that we have to work together. Then there is a phase of polarization. Polarization is what? When we treat people as that they are not part of the group. Okay, see students, you might have seen whenever any section is changed, or whenever join some other group, तो new group, तो generally लोगों का ये tendency होती है कि अरे ये हमारे group का part नहीं है, तो नहीं नहीं हमें इससे बात नहीं करनी है, या हमें इससे ज़्यादा involve नहीं करना है. Why? Because he is not a part of the group. This is polarization. We don't accept the change. We don't allow the people to be part of the group. But this is completely incorrect. Rather, we should not feel so superior, and we should understand what is right and wrong, and we should try to be nice with the people. Okay, and you should come out of this notion that my culture is the best in the world. See, it's a very simple example which I always give to my students. Vegetarians would always endorse being vegetarian. They will say कि vegetarian होना ही सही होता है और वही best चीज है life में करने के लिए. On the contrary, non-vegetarians have their own reasons to justify why they're non-vegetarians. But the idea is that we have to understand that this is something, it is an individual choice. It is not only the choice. Many number of times, the kind of society we have born and brought up in, and what we have been asked to do since our birth, we are doing that. तो इसलिए हमें हमेशा judgmental होने की जरूरत नहीं होती है, but rather we have to accept the fact. Then comes a stage when there is a minimization. Okay, जब हम समझने लग जाते हैं कि okay, we are different individuals, but then there are so many things which are common amongst us, right? And then you start fitting in the picture. Okay, then you start understanding the different people, and then you start accepting the people, and you understand that we are a team and we need to work together efficiently. And being different personalities, or being from different cultures, is not anything which will stop us from performing. So then comes the acceptance stage, when you accept that yes, we are different people, and but it's okay, I accept the person the way they are. And then finally adaptation. We not only accept the person or the other person's culture, but we also try to adapt to the good things about his or her culture, or we try to adapt good things from that particular person. This is the last stage of being cultural proficiency, that you adapt. आप सिर्फ accept ही नहीं करते हो कि हाँ भाई हम अलग हैं, या इसके हम साथ में काम कर सकते हैं अलग होने के बावजूद, but rather you want to imbibe good things from the other person. That is adaptation. And this when you start doing that, that is actually a very important phase of cultural competency. And of course, identify who you are. So you also need to know about yourself, who I am, what is my personality, what are the strengths and weaknesses about my personality. So you always need to follow the platinum rule. The platinum rule is treat others the way they would like to be treated. It is very important. We have to understand that we need to treat people, or the people have certain set of expectations from us also, so we have to treat them like that. And of course the golden rule remains to be the treat other people the way you would like to be treated. Nobody would want the same thing to happen with ourselves. अगर हम किसी को ill treat करते हैं, या हम किसी को कल्चरली डिफेम करते हैं, या अपने ग्रुप का पार्ट नहीं बनने देते हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली हम करते तो हैं, लेकिन क्या हम कभी चाहेंगे कि यही चीज हमारे साथ भी हो? नो, वी वुड नेवर वांट दैट टू हैपन. So that is why it is important that we are not doing anything to the people which we do not want to happen to ourselves. So that should be taken care of. So how do we go about starting with it? How we can become a culturally competent community? First and foremost, be honest to yourself. Be real, understand. You need to be real to yourself. अगर आपके अंदर cultural competency नहीं है, तो आप उसे accept कीजिए कि yes, I have to work on myself. I need to develop that quality. Know about your culture. Okay, it is important that you understand about your culture, about your personality, about your people, and what is required to be a good professional. Then understand that dealing with different culture is not natural but requires efforts. The problem with the psychology of the people is that we don't understand that human behavior is also very important. हम लोगों को लगता है कि only when technical, when technical qualities are important. ठीक है, if you want to be an engineer or if you want to be a doctor, then the degree would work or the diploma would work. But see, it is not always the IQ or the aptitude or the technical skills which help you to become a successful leader or a successful entrepreneur. Let me give you the example of Ratan Tata. He's the all-time favorite leader of all the people, amongst all leaders in India. So it is because he has taken efforts, he has taken initiatives where he is promoting his people, where he's supporting the initiatives and he's supporting the people. So it's not, and his behavior, his conduct, his leadership qualities, and believe me, these qualities have to be developed over years. कोई भी चीज नेचुरल नहीं होती है. जैसे हमें स्किल्स सीखने होते हैं, इसी तरीके से हमें बिहेवियरल स्किल्स भी एक्वायर करने होते हैं, वो भी हमें सीखने होते हैं. जरूरी नहीं है वो चीज हमें ऑलरेडी हो, और ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर वो हमारे अंदर नहीं है तो वो कभी आ नहीं सकता है. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड. So that is why if you are not culturally competent, it is very important that you learn that, and for that it is important you understand that everything is not natural, but a lot of things takes efforts. You need to take efforts to be culturally competent. Then of course you need to, the next rule would be that you need to show sincere interest and respect towards other cultures also. It's not only my thing कि हमारे यहाँ ये होता है, मेरी organization में ये होता है, या मेरे culture में ये होता है, या मेरे religion में ये होता है. हमेशा that should not be the ideology. We have to respect other people's interest also. Like we always defame people when it comes to interest also, कि अच्छा तो हम तो ये नहीं सुनते, अच्छा आप इंग्लिश गाने नहीं सुनते हो, that's really bad, अच्छा आप भोजपुरी सुनते हो, तो why, what is the problem if somebody likes to be listening to Bhojpuri or Hindi or English? But unfortunately today's generation, not only today's generation I would not say, but generally the people have this kind of tendency कि हमें लगता है जो हम कर रहे हैं बस वही ठीक है, and that's best. जो हमने सीखा है, जो हम करते हैं, that is the best way of doing it. But this is what is, this is something which is curbing you, which is a what should I say, obstacle towards your success. It is not that way. जब तक आप open minded नहीं होंगे, जब तक आप अलग चीजों को नहीं समझोगे, देखोगे नहीं, you cannot be be successful. Similarly, admiration simply means to say that yeah, of course you need to not only understand different cultures, but you need to imbibe good things from other cultures also. हमें दूसरे cultures को appreciate भी करना होता है, और at the same time अगर वहाँ से कोई चीज अच्छी लगती है तो we need to admire also. And of course identify the differences and commonalities between your culture and other cultures. You have to understand that it's not just always about my culture or your culture. many cultures, and honestly speaking, अगर आप as in religion और culture की बात करोगे तो सारे culture, सारे religion एक ही चीज सिखाते हैं, the teachings are generally the same. It is just the way of representation could be different. So that also needs to understand. And as an entrepreneur, yes, you have to understand that what are the differences and among the way you operate your business and others are doing it, and similarly the people who are there, you have to understand them. और अगर आपको कुछ उनसे अच्छा सीखने को मिलता है, then you need to imbibe that in your own organization or your company. And of course, being proactive. Okay, as I said that this quality for an entrepreneur, having the cultural competency, ये कुछ चीजें ना EQ का पार्ट होता है. हम मैनेज में पढ़ाते हैं इमोशनल कोशेंट. ठीक है, एक चीज होती है इंटेलिजेंस क्वेश्चन. इंटेलिजेंस क्वेश्चन इज ऑलवेज अ डोर ओपनर फॉर यू फॉर द जॉब. This will help you to get good job. This will get you good placements. But when this, once you have joined the organization, and when it comes to leadership roles, and of course entrepreneurship is also a leadership role, when it comes to leadership role, then believe you me guys, IQ से ज्यादा EQ important होता है. Emotional quotient, that means how you deal with the people, what are your group dynamics, how culturally competent you are. So cultural proficiency or cultural competency is one of the aspects of, very important aspects of EQ. And of course EQ is a very important aspect of entrepreneurship. So yes, you need to be very proactive. You have to attend trainings. अगर कोई चीज behavior leadership है, जैसे हर किसी में leadership quality नहीं होती है, business etiquettes हैं, these are the things which we learn, and we learn through trainings, MDP. So you should be open for that also. ये एक अपना mindset open रखना चाहिए कि अगर हमें सीखना पड़े तो हम ऐसे sessions attend करें, ऐसे trainings attend करें, and we can learn all these things. And of course appreciate the diversity. Just don't appreciate in terms of just saying it, but rather you have to walk with it. You have to understand it. You have to bring to your own institution, bring it to your own company, and bring it to your own people. And of course learn to accept and respect other cultural differences also. As you can see in the image, one of the person is bowing his head to say good morning, and the other girl is she's just forwarding her hand. Now this could be the person could feel why he or she is doing like this, why she's not shaking hands with me. So that's okay, that's their culture, it's your culture, so it's perfectly fine. And of course, very, very importantly, last but not the least, each one of us sees the world with a different eye. We have to understand that every individual has a different perception. Every person has a different way of looking at things. So please understand that we cannot impose our decisions, we cannot impose our cultures on others. And of course, to be an entrepreneur, it is very important that you understand cultural competency and you imbibe the same in your system. So these points would help you to become culturally competent, and not only for the entrepreneur, for any student, any professional, any individual. It is very important to embrace the cultural diversity and be cultural competent. So that's all from my side on this topic. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, then you can just pour in your questions.
Yes, ma'am. We have received a few questions from the students, and I'll be addressing them on their behalf. Okay. If that's all right.
Right. Perfect.
Yes, ma'am. The first question which I received was that what can be an appropriate response to being culturally discriminated?
Okay. See. Now it depends on in what context this the person is being discriminated in. Like for example, if you are working in some organization and you feel that there is some kind of cultural discrimination with you, then of course in that case what we believe in is in open door policy. You should always address the same to the concerned person, because that is the only way out to every solution. You should not you should not just face the situation, or you should not just let it go. You can ignore a situation till a point, but if you go on ignoring the situation, then it will become a problem for you. So it is better to address the issue. If you feel that there is some kind of ill treatment with you in relation to anything, any kind of biasness or discrimination, then I personally feel that you should always raise your concerns. You should always address the problem, and then you should try to come up with a solution. And that could, raising the concern could be with the person himself, or you could raise the concern with your direct authorities. Now that depends on the situation to situation. I hope I have answered the question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question which I received was how to identify cross-cultural entrepreneurial competence in international business opportunities.
Okay, as I have already covered in the PPT also, if you want to understand the cross-cultural, diversity, then it is very important that you understand, first you need to be acquainted with their culture. Okay, we see, of course, if we are, I'm saying in India, of course, India itself is a very diverse nation, and I'm working with the people. So what is important is, that I need to mingle with the people and understand their culture. But when it comes to international things, then of course, whenever you are going for any kind of interactions, or you are going for any kind of business work, or any kind of B2B proposals, in that cases, you first need to explore their culture. First you need to understand them. Before going there, you have to study them. Do your homework, should I put it this way, आप तैयारी के साथ चाहिए. Do your homework, understand their culture, and be acquainted with their culture. Be acquainted with their personalities, and the like, I'll give you a very simple example that when in India the people are very emotional, and in India the people are very friendly and always supporting each other, and even if we don't know the person, we don't mind supporting people. But let me be very honest that the countries that I have visited, I have not seen that kind of humbleness or empathy in the people. And it's not about them, it is their culture. It is just like that. They are meant to be like that. They don't interact with the people in foreign countries. The people don't know who is living next to their house, and they cannot disturb somebody even if there is a problem. Otherwise they'll call a police or something like that. So you need to be aware. Awareness is the only way out. You need to study their culture before getting into any kind of entrepreneurship like proposal or any kind of collaboration. So that's the only way out. Understand them and accept that you cannot change them. Don't teach them what is right and wrong. Just embrace it. Just understand the difference and then work accordingly.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question which I received was how does cultural competence aid innovation?
Okay. See, Anushka, okay, whosoever has asked the question, cultural competence aids innovation. Now, every individual has a different, we as a person, as a personality, it's when we talk about the personality, then our orientation, our exposure, our learnings, our knowledge, everything contributes to the personality of a person. And whenever you are interacting with a person, okay, or you are into entrepreneurship, and if you are meeting the people with different cultures, different orientations, different personality, similarly you are having people with different cultural orientations in your company. So what will happen? They will come up with new ideas because they have a different set of experiences which you don't have. They have a different kind of exposure which you were not having. So eventually what will happen is that yes, they will come up with the ideas which you were new to, which you had not experienced. Let me give you a very simple example. By like for example, अगर हम आज की generation की बात करते हैं, जो आज today's graduates, if we talk about, they are very much technically, they are much sound and better than each of us, right? If we talk about the faculties, we may have the knowledge, we may have the expertise, we have the experience, but we don't have that kind of, technical expertise, or even if I talk creativity expertise, which the new generation has. Similarly, for the entrepreneur, when he will be hiring, when he will be having cultural diversity in his in his team, so people would come up with different innovative ideas, different creativity which they have experienced in their lifetime. So that is how people having this different set of cultural orientations and experiences, this is how the creativity would come into the system. Just allow me a second. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The last question I received was, what are the business benefits of being culturally competent?
See, being culturally competent, it itself is a benefit for any individual or any entrepreneur. You, when you understand different cultures, when you understand different people, when you understand different personality, this will help you to have a bit more options. Otherwise you will limit yourself. You would want to work with the people with your who are who you can gel easily with, or who are of your orientation. But if you are open to work with people with different workforce diversity, then of course it will be a win-win situation for you.
Thank you so much for answering all the curious questions, ma'am.
Thank you, Anushka.
That Yes, ma'am. That brings us to the end of today's session. And before we leave, on behalf of entire IMT College of Pharmacy, I would like to propose a vote of thanks to Dr. Ruchi Rayat for taking out time from your busy schedule and enlightening us with your commendable knowledge. We are all very, very greatly benefited and will definitely inculcate all your teachings in our behavior. Once again, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Anushka, and special thanks to Ankita ma'am, who is, I think, not here, and of course the management of IMT Group of Institutions for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thanks a lot.
We would really love to hear more from you, ma'am, in the future.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the entire organizing team for making this event possible and the audience for being such diligent listeners. And that brings us to the end of this meeting. We can end the live stream and all the participants can leave the meeting.